The League of Women Voters Flint area would like to thank Communities First Incorporated for their assistance with recording Flint area candidates for office. And we also want to thank Flint Beat for assisting with these forums. We want to thank you as well for tuning in to the Flint School Board Forum. Unlike legislative forums, each candidate was interviewed separately and no time limit was imposed. Like the legislative forums, however, candidates were instructed to speak only about their own qualifications and not about other candidates or political parties. 15 candidates filed for a seat on the board. All were invited to do an interview. 13 responded. 12 completed an interview and one was unable to due to a family medical situation. 5 seats, and therefore 5 votes, are available. You may wish to take some notes as you decide which 5 you will select. Good afternoon. How are you today, Ms. Young?
Hi, I'm doing wonderful. How are you?
I'm fine, thanks.
That's great.
We have 6 questions, pretty straightforward, so
Okay.
it won't actually take that long, but let's get started. What do you think has prepared you for these responsibilities?
One, being in the community, being a great listener, because I believe in listening to people and hearing what their needs are. As a candidate or working and being on the school board, you have to listen to what the needs are of the people you're serving. There's no way you could possibly serve them correctly or fully without listening. So as a parent, I had concern that I would have loved to have been heard. As a community activist, there's concerns that I would love to have heard. And then I'm also an occupational therapist, and I worked in the school system for a couple of years, not in Flint public schools, but in different schools and different systems. So I got a chance to see some of the universal problems that goes on in the schools. And then I got a chance to see unique problems that go on depending on what area you're in. So I think just life experiences have prepared me to be a candidate, a great board member.
Okay, well, thank you. Moving on to the second question. Do you have some ideas on how to maintain and increase student enrollment?
Yes, number one, it's got to be more engagement from everyone, from the administration side, the teacher side. You got to have the school board members a little bit more involved, because if you care about the children, if you really want to be involved with them, get out, go out to some of the programs that they have. Attend a football game, attend a basketball game, attend one of their plays that they're having at the school. Just pop up and be there sometime at some point in time and be involved and engaged. That's one of the things that can do, because people have a tendency to come when they feel like you really care. But then there's also concerns that's on the other side that we have to take care of course, as far as I would say academics. We need to start engaging and trying to get some programs that can make sure that and assure that the students will learn the way that they need to learn. But not only just them, sometimes it takes getting involved and getting engaged with the family members. Because if you can get family members to get engaged, then that way you can make sure that the parents know exactly what it is that they need to do for their children. And I'll give you an example. When my daughters were in school and they changed the way that they were doing math. Now, I think that I'm great with doing math, but the way that they changed it in the process, I had no clue of what they were talking about, because I wasn't in school to be able to engage with the teacher and find out their process. Had I been engaged or invited to come to the school and learn, then I could have helped my daughter better with her math and her homework at home. So you got to get families involved. It won't work no other kind of way. Marketing, there's different aspects. I could probably talk on and on, because I've actually shared some of these ideas with the current board, and I've also called down to the school board to tell them some of the ideas that I had that could help us with getting more students enrolled in the Flint Public Schools. The marketing tactics, we got to do something different to make sure that we pull those students and pull them back into the public school system. Other than that, we're not going to be able to gain anybody. They got to see that you really care. A commercial is okay. A billboard is okay. But when they see a live person talking to them, they more apt to bring their children back into the public school system.
Okay. How is the role of a school board member different from that of superintendent?
Kind of like the governing force. I kind of look at it on the same level as many of us can relate to Congress and the president. Kind of in that same way. You got people that, the superintendent is the one that's there to try to make sure that the day-to-day operation is happening, but you have the board is kind of more so the governing force behind them. They kind of the checks and balances to make sure that everything is going through the right proper process. They're also there to help bring ideas to work with the superintendent, not necessarily against them, but to work with them to see what they can't get done. But they also just work as a check and balances for them in the whole system of what they got to do. There's sometimes where the school board might have to go outside of the realm and help the superintendent with, especially with asking for funding, whatever it is that they need to do. We need to figure out a way that we can help each other out to make sure that the system is working correctly. Yeah.
Okay. Do you have any other responsibilities that might interfere with your attendance at meetings?
No, none at all. Right now, I'm currently finishing up a contract that I have that's out of state. I serve currently on the library board, which nobody could understand. I came home and went to the library board meeting and then came back to work. So even with that, there's no duties that I have that would take me away from attending the board meetings. I would say the duties that I have actually enhanced because it kind of gives me more of a community feel of what's going on. That would be more of an enhancement than a neglective duty. So, yep.
Okay. Have you or will you be taking the school board training?
Yes, I will. I've started doing some of the stuff and looking online and just looking at some of the different things that is out there, especially with being on the library board. A lot of times, a lot of us don't know that there is training to be a certified library board member. There's training for every position that you could get elected into. So a lot of times I encourage people, no matter what position you're running for, no matter where you're at, seek out the training that you need to make you be the best person. And that's the only way you're going to serve the community correctly and efficiently is that you take the training that's necessary for it.
Okay, thanks. And so the last question is, what do you think are the most important issues that Flint schools are facing?
I have an issue right now that I'm personally dealing with, and I have seen on some of the things, and I know a lot of people start to talking about the buildings that they got and getting rid of the dilapidated buildings and everything. Current board has already worked on that, and they are moving in the positive direction with either tearing down buildings, selling off the buildings, or revamping some of them. They have started moving in that direction. We have some other issues that are definitely of a concern. One of the biggest concerns that I have, and I have tried to address it, is transportation to the school. We can't expect that a student have a struggle with getting to school on a daily basis to be taken lightly. Take, for instance, I have 3 grandchildren that are in the school. Their bus stop is 5 blocks away from home. They have to cross a 5-lane street. That's a busy street to get to the bus stop. One of them is 8, one is 6, one is 5. My daughter can walk them to the bus stop, but she have a 1-year-old. She was sick for a couple of days, which guess what? That meant they weren't getting to the bus stop. Had the bus stop been right at the corner by her house or in front of her house, it would have made it easier for her to get them right outside to the bus stop. We've called the MTA to try to get that taken care of. They said they're not making any changes to November. My concern is if you got a student that have to walk that far away from home, even some before 6 o'clock, 6:30 in the morning, and it's dark out, how safe is our children on the street getting to the bus stop? Now, we know once they get to school, we got to take care of them. They can be safe once we get into the school. But we got to get them to school safely in order to say, anything else. We got a whole lot of other issues going on. We want to save our children from any type of you know, I hate to say the bad stuff that can happen, because we already know that. We know we're dealing in this age with kidnapping. We dealing with sex trafficking. We dealing with a lot of different things that's going on. We do not want to wait until a problem happens and then try to take care of it. We got to be proactive with this. We got to get out there and make sure that our children are safe getting to school. That's an issue that hardly no one is addressing. You know, just get them to school. How you gonna get them to school? That's an issue that I have that's definitely there. And then another issue that I have is checks and balances with making sure that when our children are in the schools, they are properly tested and properly placed in the classroom that they need to be in. So to tell me as a parent that, oh, we do have a way of testing, but yet as a parent, I don't know your proper process. And you don't have a process to check to make sure that your employees are implementing what it is that need to be done. We have to do that. Now, I can give you an example of that. Even with my granddaughter post-pandemic, she was placed in the first grade and should have been in the second grade. When she was tested almost in the third grade because I homeschooled her during that time. She missed a whole year because we still had our little, our realms of not being too sure about them going back into the school building, which was understandable. But she was held behind because she didn't go to school for a year. So I pushed it and I got her tested and put back up to the right level that she needed to be in. Thank God I was a pushy grandma and was able to get her where she needed to go. However, how many parents that's out there don't know that that's what they should do and how they should go to the school and advocate for their children the proper way? She's in the third grade. She's reading at a fifth grade level. How many children do we have that we're taking and putting them and challenging them? We got to stick behind that and stick behind our good teachers. We got great teachers that are in the Flint public schools. We got to stick behind them and make sure they properly compensated. We don't want them to come in and feel like I got to go and work a second job because I don't have enough money and I can't make it. So we want to make sure that those things and make sure there's some satisfaction on both sides. But we do want to make sure that our children are definitely number one and taken care of. So those are some of the issues I don't hear come up too often, but it's something that's definitely a problem and a concern. If we want to get our test scores up, we got to do what we got to do to get them up. And that's one of the ways that we can do it, with properly placing children the way that they need and challenging them and helping them to grow and building their confidence so they can learn.
Okay, well, thank you. It's one of the great things about these interviews is you get different perspectives, and
yes.
Really appreciate you being here and being part of the conversation and trying to serve the community. So thank you.
Yes. All right. Thank you.